Hello, my name is Dr. Milad Taleby Ahvanooey and I'm working as a faculty member at Nanjing University, China. Over the past decade, I've been leading several industrial projects as a senior programmer and developed more than 70 applications, which some of them have been registered as patents. Also, I've been working in academia as a cybersecurity scientist and instructor, as well as I've published several scientific articles in prestigious journals related to the application of machine learning and NLP in cyberspace security. I came to WAI conference to present a talk about misinformation detection on social media and the state-of-the-art solutions. In this talk, I'll be discussing the open challenges and the real-world application of machine learning and AI-based methods to address the problem of fake news detection on social media. Here is the problem statement and objectives of this talk. As you know, digital information includes facts provided or learned about something or someone using multimedia such as text, image, video, or audio. Where a reporter or a user shares digital information via online platforms, anyone can copy, manipulate, and regenerate a new form of information which is called fake news or false news. On the other side, where other users read such information, how they can analyze the authenticity of such information, whether it is a fake news or a fact news. To address such problem, I'll be discussing three different objectives through this presentation. As a first objective, I'll be explaining how end users create fake accounts or fake news contents. As the second objective, I'll be discussing the state-of-the-art solutions, fact-checking techniques, fake news detection methods, and so on. As the third objective, I'll be discussing the open challenges and recommending some directions for future works. Nowadays, social media platforms have become a vital part of our daily communications, and we can say all of the internet users use different types of online platforms or social media applications to stay informed with their friends, family, and share their enjoyable moments and so on. The question is how such users can analyze the integrity of informations or news contents, how they can trust to such information. As you can see through this plot, according to the latest statistical data analysis which has been conducted by the Modern Luxury Institute over the past 4 years, the number of sent messages in 1 minute for all of the social media has been increased. For example, 19 million text messages has been sent by WeChat in 2020, and the same number has been increased for all of the other platforms mentioned in this plot. What does misinformation mean? Misinformation or disinformation refers to the dissemination of fake news or spurious information deliberately generated or manipulated to have social impacts, such as political, business, advertisement, and so on. As partially evidenced during the 2016 US presidential election campaign, since then the term fake news has become a popular idiom and introduced as the word of the year in a recent post by Collins Language Publications. And note that the use of this term increased by 365% since 2016 so far. What are motivations behind fake news generation? Generally, fake news spreaders or creators intentionally manipulate the news content by modifying its words or attachments, by adding a tempered image, a video or an audio, to mislead readers towards their malicious goals. For example, the motivation can be collecting votes for a particular candidate or attracting a huge amount of investments in cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin with fake ads. There are several malicious activities on social media that can create or spread fake contents in the cover of authentic identification of someone else. For example, anyone can create an account with the name of someone else to impersonate his or her identity and share some fake news or seemingly factual news in the cover of his name to ruin his reputation. Or, in some cases, lazy users just replicate or reshare someone else's news contents without checking the original source or authenticity of such information. Also, in some cases, malicious users just tamper factual information with manipulating some part or attaching a forged image towards their malicious intentions. What are the key criteria for analyzing a fake news content? Technically, there are 3 characteristics that must be taken into account during a fake news content analysis. The first characteristic is fake account or profile, where a user registers on an online platform. Deep learning based authentication techniques can be used to analyze the legitimacy of users' identity information, as well as limiting the number of accounts generated by the same identity. The second characteristic is source credibility, which can be analyzed by processing the legitimacy of claimed resources through the fake news content. The third characteristic is content integrity, which can be analyzed using NLP and machine learning techniques by comparing or extracting some features from the current claimed news content with the existing collected data from legitimate resources. An efficient misinformation detection system must consider 3 criteria, which I explained in previous slide, into account during the integrity analysis of a news content. As you can see in this photo, there are 4 types of data which must be analyzed using NLP or machine learning techniques by extracting some numerical features and compare them with the existing data which has been collected from authentic resources. As you can see in this taxonomy figure, the state-of-the-art content authentication techniques can be classified in 2 different types of techniques: knowledge-based or pattern-based, which has 3 different types: textual-based, which utilize textual features during their analysis; visual-based only analyze image-based data or video-based data; multimodal-based, they consider textual plus visual features during their analysis; and on the other side, whole document based or information hiding based, they have 2 different types: linguistic based or structural based. In these techniques, they hide a fragile or robust watermark inside the news content, and whenever it is required to authenticate the integrity of news content, the hidden watermark can be extracted and analyzed for evaluating the integrity of news content. Technically, fact-checking using the knowledge-based methods involve 3 different stages. The first one, data collection and labeling from legitimate resources. The second one, classification and ranking of the current news content on social media and compare with the collected data from other legitimate resources. The question is, during classification, how such techniques evaluate the validity of resources. And during decision making, if they don't consider the legitimacy of resources, how can they make a decision that the news which they compared with the collected data from a limited number of resources are legitimate or fake? So here they lose the efficiency because of the lack of criteria analysis. They don't consider profile analysis of a spreader, and also they don't consider source credibility. There are dozens of websites that they publish news or reports about different political events. How such techniques, they just collect manually some limited number of data from some resources and then compare them with some of the news on social media. These are just scientific evaluation. They cannot be used on real-time fake news detection where a user reads the information. In practice, an efficient framework of fact-checking system utilizes classifiers to extract some features from the current news contents and compare them with the collected data. Most of the existing techniques utilize only textual features during integrity analysis, but a few other techniques have been proposed recently that utilize multimodal features, textual plus visual features during their evaluation. Those ones that only consider textual features, we call them weak classifier because they lose the attachments information of the contents. And then those ones utilize a combination of various machine learning such as neural networks, SVMs, and NLP techniques. They are called a strong classifier because they consider all the aspects of information during fake news analysis. The second type of content authentication techniques involve hiding a fragile or robust watermark inside the news content, and whenever it is required to authenticate the integrity of such contents, the hidden watermark can be extracted and prove the originality of the news content. There are two different types. Structural based techniques involve modifying the layout of content such as font style, spaces between words, and so on. Linguistic based techniques involve manipulating the text content by changing some linguistic features such as abbreviation, synonym of words, and so on. The question is, none of these techniques can protect the news content from being manipulated, and on the other side, they will not consider visual features during their evaluation. Technically, there exist several open challenges that should be addressed in future works. As the first point, most of the existing solutions only consider textual features during the content integrity analysis, and they do not evaluate the authenticity of account and source credibility. As the second point, there exists a possibility of creating social media accounts using fake names without being controlled or authenticated. As the third point, users can replicate the other users' news contents without checking the authenticity of original source. As the fourth point, since multimodal based techniques utilize ensemble classifiers or a combination of several machine learning methods such as SVMs, neural networks, and so on, they have a huge computational complexity that make their real-world application difficult to be implemented. As the fifth point, none of the existing techniques provide real-time fake news detection on social media since they need data labeling and source analysis. Here are some suggestions to address open problems in future works. An efficient misinformation detection system must take into account three key criteria such as profile authenticity, source credibility, and content integrity during a fake news content analysis. As a second point, a combination of machine learning and information hiding based techniques can be applied to identify the content integrity of text news articles without requiring data collection from other resources. As the third point, social media applications must restrict the number of profile generations using the same identity or phone number, and they have to authenticate their identity information from various valid sources. A combination of machine learning and information hiding techniques can be used to provide a predictive tool which shows integrity rate for each news content on social media and label a trustworthy or untrustworthy on the spreader profile, considering the history of users' activity over the past few months or years. To address the problem of computational complexity in multimodal techniques, new solutions can be developed to reduce such computational cost by considering hidden signatures through the text contents and evaluating the authenticity of fake profiles before processing multimodal features. Thank you for listening to this talk. The presented talk is related to an article collaborated with several colleagues as following co-authors, which has been peer-reviewed by IT Professional magazine, indexed by JCR Q1 in software engineering, and will be published in next volume of this magazine in July 2021 through the IT Explorer library.